What if your soul exists in more than one place at the same time? It sounds like something out of science fiction, but modern physics is already asking similar questions. In the quantum world, particles can be in multiple states at once. And consciousness? Some scientists now believe it may not even be local to the brain. On the other side, ancient traditions have long spoken of the soul traveling through different realms or planes of existence. They didn't use equations. They used stories, symbols, and silence. In this video, we're exploring a powerful idea that there are 7 dimensions of the soul, and that this ancient soul map may line up in surprising ways with today's most cutting-edge theories in quantum physics and consciousness studies. Think of it like an invisible map of reality, one that could explain your deepest emotions, recurring thoughts, and even those moments when you feel completely outside of time. So, where do science and soul meet? And what if this meeting point is you? Let's begin. In recent decades, science has taken a strange and beautiful turn toward the invisible. Quantum physics, for instance, tells us that the particles making up our world don't behave like solid, predictable things. Instead, they flicker in and out of probabilities. String theory goes even further, suggesting there may be 11 dimensions of space and time curled up beyond our perception. We live in 3, maybe 4, but others may be operating just outside our awareness. What does that have to do with the soul? Well, consider consciousness. In classical science, it was assumed to be a byproduct of the brain, like steam from a kettle. But now, researchers like Dr. Stuart Hameroff and physicist Sir Roger Penrose propose that consciousness might arise from quantum activity within brain microtubules, hinting at something non-local. In other words, your awareness might not be locked inside your skull. It might exist as part of a larger interconnected field. In 1994, neurobiologist Dr. Jacobo Grinberg conducted a now famous experiment involving pairs of people meditating together. After synchronization, changes in one person's brainwave patterns showed up in the other, even from a distance. His lattice model of consciousness described reality as a shared, dynamic field that collapses into form through attention. So what if ancient mystics weren't guessing? What if their metaphors, the soul's journey, or layers of being, were ways of describing what modern physics is only just beginning to see? They didn't call it quantum entanglement, but they spoke of threads connecting everything. They didn't talk about non-locality, but they taught that the soul could leave the body, travel, or touch others without distance being a barrier. What we're seeing today is not a clash between science and spirituality. It's emerging. The language is different. The tools are new. But the message may be the same. Reality isn't one-dimensional, and neither are you. Let's take a look now at how ancient traditions tried to map this multidimensional soul, long before they had the math to prove it. Long before particle accelerators and brain scans, ancient civilizations spoke of the soul not as a single thing, but as something layered, a multi-tiered being that moved between planes of existence. In the Vedic tradition of India, the soul is said to be wrapped in koshas, or sheaths, 5 energetic layers ranging from the physical body to pure bliss. These weren't just symbolic, they were seen as functional layers that influenced health, thought, and spiritual development. The deeper you went, the closer you came to Atman, the true self. In Kabbalistic Judaism, the tree of life represents a map of creation and the soul's journey through different worlds, from the dense material world of Asiya to the divine unity of Atziluth. Each sephira or sphere along the tree holds its own frequency, task, and consciousness. Theosophy, a modern mystical philosophy drawing from many traditions, describes 7 planes of existence, from the physical to the spiritual and beyond. These planes mirror the soul's growth and its capacity to hold energy, light, and awareness. What's striking is that despite their different origins, India, Israel, Egypt, Persia, these systems agree on the same core idea. The human being is not limited to the physical world. They saw emotion, thought, purpose, and spiritual will as layers of reality just as real as flesh and bone. And they offered tools, meditation, ritual, visualization, to help navigate those layers, not just believe in them. These weren't abstract ideas for monks or mystics. They were maps for living. When you were anxious, you were stuck in the astral. When you couldn't stop looping thoughts, you were tangled in the mental. When you felt divine inspiration, they said you had touched the spiritual or even the monadic plane. In today's language, these planes sound eerily similar to states of consciousness, brainwave frequencies, and energy fields. Maybe they weren't speaking in metaphor. Maybe they were describing what they saw, just through a different lens. Now let's examine this further. Imagine your soul as a multi-story building, each floor representing a different layer of your being. The higher you go, the lighter and more expansive the experience. These are the 7 dimensions of the soul, a map not of where you are, but how you are. The physical plane. This is the ground floor, your body, senses, and physical world. Time feels linear here. Everything is cause and effect. Quantum physics mirrors this through observable particles and classical matter. The astral plane. Here, emotions and desires take center stage. This is the realm of dreams, imagination, and energy fields. It correlates with theta brainwaves, the state between sleep and wakefulness, where visuals and emotions are heightened. The mental plane. The space of thought, logic, focus, and belief systems. It's where internal narratives live. Neurologically, it ties to beta brainwave activity, structured, conscious thought. When you're stuck in overthinking, you're here. The causal plane. This is the realm of karma, intention, and soul memory. Patterns repeat here until they're resolved. Morphogenetic fields, as proposed by Rupert Sheldrake, offer a parallel, suggesting energetic blueprints that guide behavior across generations. The spiritual plane. Intuition, guidance, and your higher self live here. This is where synchronicities appear and wisdom flows without effort. It's often felt during alpha brainwave states, calm, open, deeply aware. The Buddhic plane. This is unity consciousness, where separation dissolves. Compassion arises naturally, not as a decision, but as a state of being. People accessing this plane describe feelings of oneness with nature, the universe, even strangers. The Atmic or monad plane. The highest known layer, the spark of divine will, pure being beyond form. It's not something you reach, but something you remember. Here, individuality dissolves into source awareness. Quantum superposition, where all states coexist, offers a scientific metaphor. One thing to note is that you're not just living on one plane. You're constantly shifting between several. And understanding which dimension you're operating from can explain a lot about your everyday experiences. Let's start with emotions. Ever felt a strong reaction that seemed bigger than the moment? That's often an astral imprint, a leftover emotional charge from a past event, sometimes not even from this lifetime. When we're reactive or overly sensitive, we're usually anchored in the astral plane, where feelings have mass and momentum. If you've ever been caught in a loop of persistent thoughts, limiting beliefs, or mental noise that won't quiet down, you've likely been orbiting in the mental plane. Beliefs are like gravity on this plane. They keep attracting similar experiences until challenged or transcended. Now think about those times when life feels off, when you feel disconnected, unmotivated, or lost. This often signals a misalignment with your causal or spiritual plane. It's like trying to navigate using someone else's map. You might be doing everything right, but something deeper isn't matching your soul's intention. But here's the beautiful part, those rare moments when everything clicks, when time slows, creativity flows, or you feel deeply connected to something beyond yourself. You've likely accessed the higher planes. That intuitive hit, that sudden wave of love, that sense that this is exactly where I'm meant to be. Those are glimpses from the spiritual, Buddhic, or even Atmic dimensions. One helpful metaphor: radio frequencies. You can only hear a station when you tune to the right frequency. The soul works the same way. Each dimension has its own broadcast, but you must align your awareness to pick it up. So next time you're struggling or soaring, ask, which dimension am I tuned into right now? And more importantly, which one is calling me upward? Now, let's examine how quantum science gives unexpected support to this soul-based model, and how consciousness may be the missing link between matter and the mystery. At first glance, science and spirituality speak different languages. But when we look closer, especially through the lens of quantum theory, they begin to echo each other. Take quantum superposition, the idea that a particle can exist in multiple states at once until it's observed. In spiritual terms, that's not far from the idea that your soul exists across multiple planes of reality, simultaneously. You are not confined to one identity, one role, or even one timeline. Your soul is multi-present, and your consciousness is the observer that collapses which part you live from. Then there's non-locality, the fact that two entangled particles can affect each other instantly, regardless of distance. For mystics, this isn't new. Ancient teachings have always suggested that the soul can touch, know, or feel across time and space. Think of prayer, telepathy, intuition, or the sensation of someone thinking about you. Science now gives us a vocabulary to revisit these phenomena without dismissing them. And what about consciousness itself? Despite all our advances, science still can't pin down what consciousness is. It doesn't behave like something produced solely by the brain. It may be more accurate to say that consciousness uses the brain, not the other way around. In this view, consciousness becomes the bridge between matter and energy, just like the soul is said to move between the physical and the divine. The idea isn't that quantum physics proves spirituality, or that ancient mystics were physicists in disguise. Rather, it's that both are tapping into the same reality, but from opposite ends. One uses instruments, the other uses inner experience. And when their findings begin to mirror each other, something profound emerges. A shared map of existence, one that honors both logic and intuition. So if science can describe the edges of reality, and soul wisdom can describe the experience of it, then perhaps true understanding lies in the space between them. Now, let's bring this all together. We're living in a time where the veil is thinning. More and more people are feeling it, that sense of being more than just a body, more than just thoughts or roles. Emotions are surfacing faster, intuition is getting louder, and the desire for deeper meaning is no longer optional, it's necessary. This model of the 7 soul dimensions isn't just poetic or philosophical. It's a practical tool for realignment. It helps you understand where your pain is rooted, where your power lives, and where your next evolution is calling from. Whether you're doing shadow work, building intuition, or simply trying to feel whole again, this invisible map can guide you, gently, precisely, and truthfully. So here's the question: what plane are you living from right now? And what dimension of your soul is inviting you to rise? Drop a comment below and let us know your thoughts or your experiences navigating these layers of being. And if this resonated, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who's also searching for meaning beyond the material. Because when science meets soul, we don't just learn something new. We remember who we really are.